Hey guys, welcome to the tutorial in which we are focusing on the type of vocabulary that we associate with conflict and conflict management. And in particular, we're thinking about mediation, appraisal, underperformance, and resolution. So these are really important words to be familiar with because if you're in an English-speaking environment, you will be hearing them in the context of conflict and conflict management. Clear and professional English is essential for managing conflict effectively. And I've been saying all the way through that clear and professional English is important, but is especially important when it comes to conflict management because choosing the right words and the right tone, as well as the right actions, are very, very important in a context where there might be heightened sensitivity, where someone might be upset or frustrated. So word choice here really matters more than even in other parts of business. We touched earlier in the course, if you guys have been going in order, about giving and receiving feedback. Precise vocabulary is really important for that, to avoid offense and to help motivate and improve. Addressing performance issues, again, it's very important to have diplomatic language. We have to discuss underperformance objectively and offer support and not just criticism. So the point of this particular presentation is to explore the meanings and usage of these terms, and the terms that are associated with them. Okay, so mediation, which we have mentioned before, but we haven't looked at it in depth yet. Mediation is a structured process where a neutral third party helps people resolve a dispute by facilitating open dialogue and encouraging compromise. So A is in conflict with B, so in comes person C, and acts as what's called a mediator. When do we use mediation in business? Well, mediation is used when two employees cannot agree or when a manager needs to rebuild communication between teams to improve workplace relationships. Quite often HR is involved in this. So for example, you hear, we brought in HR to mediate the discussion, or mediation helped both sides reach a fair agreement. Key terms around mediation include neutral, facilitator, compromise, and dialogue. These are the words that you'll hear in and around mediation. So mediation works because it encourages or enforces perhaps active listening and mutual respect between parties. Having a third person there monitoring usually helps with communication. It keeps the discussion focused on the problem and not on personal attacks. It creates a safe space for open communication and understanding. So phrases that you often hear in mediation: let's try and find common ground, can we agree on a way forward, what are your main concerns? So not what is everything that's bothering you, no. What are your main concerns? Bring it down to one or two things. How can we resolve this together? And these are the type of phrases that you would expect from the mediator in such a circumstance. Appraisal is very different. An appraisal is a formal evaluation of an employee's performance, typically conducted between a manager and their employee to discuss progress and future objectives. Usually occurs at regular intervals, once a year or every 6 months perhaps. Focus areas are about reviewing achievements, assessing progress, versus the targets that were set, and setting future goals for professional development. A couple of examples in context: we conduct annual appraisals to review development goals, and her appraisal highlighted strong leadership but some gaps in time management. That is to say, she turned up late or missed deadlines. Related vocabulary to appraisal: feedback, evaluation, performance review, professional development. So the type of language that you'd often associate with appraisals is positive feedback. You made great progress in something, so recognizing an achievement. Constructive feedback: one area for improvement might be, so you can notice that the hedging language, the polite structure there, not saying you're doing this badly, you're doing this wrong, but thinking about what could go better in the future. You encourage future growth with what we call forward-looking statements. Let's set new objectives for next quarter. And the tone in the language shouldn't be overly negative, obviously, using neutral and softening language in case the feedback is negative. You want to make sure it's balanced and diplomatic and not aggressive or accusative. Underperformance. So the meaning of underperformance is when an employee's, individual or group, work or results fall below the expected standards set by the organization or the standards that the employee set themselves. Common reasons include lack of resources or training, poor communication, unclear goals, and personal or motivational challenges. Example scenario: the team's underperformance was due to unrealistic deadlines which limited their ability to deliver quality work on time. It's underperformance from the team at first glance. However, the reason in this case is that the deadlines were unrealistic, so things had to be done too quickly. So it wasn't really the team's fault, actually. Related vocabulary here goes expectations, standards, productivity, and support plan. Support plan is when the manager and the employee come up with a a plan of action in order to improve performance. Managing underperformance, as you can imagine, you have to be very diplomatic. People will often be defensive if they're being accused of underperformance or demonstrably underperforming. So we take things like, I've noticed your recent results have been lower than expected. Is there anything preventing you from meeting your targets? Let's work on a performance improvement plan together. So it's not just berating someone and telling them they're not doing things well. It's constructive. Why aren't things going so well? And let's work together to see if we can improve moving forward. You got to be supportive, non-accusatory tone through the conversation. Use diplomatic language. As always, word choice is going to be very, very important here. And emphasize collaboration and offer help to improve performance. Resolution. Resolution comes at the end of conflict, hopefully, at the end of mediation. Resolution is a process of finding an acceptable solution to a problem or conflict, helping restore harmony and progress. Examples would be, after a week of discussion, the team reached a resolution. Early resolution prevents escalation. Associating the vocabulary, conflict resolution, problem resolution process. These would be our collocations that we find with resolution. So the ideal world would be if there's a conflict, there is, if necessary, mediation, at the end of which we achieve a resolution. So summing up, mediation is guided discussion to resolve conflict involving a third party. Appraisal is a formal review of employee performance. Underperformance are results below expected standards. And resolution is a process of finding solutions. Something for you guys to think about. Which of these processes does your workplace use and how are they applied? And how can you apply these words in your next English meeting? If any of this involves you, if you're involved in mediation, appraisal, reviewing performance, or being involved in resolution, what vocabulary can you take away that would allow you to express your ideas better in English within this area of business? Thanks very much, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.